Hello, welcome to another episode in this video series where we are making use of Inkscape software to design and create geoscientific maps and figures. So in this very episode, we are going to take a look at a figure in this research paper written by Paulina Lemenkova in the year 2025. So let me scroll down to the figure we are going to reproduce. So this is the figure we are going to reproduce. So the assumption is that this very figure is similar to the new research we are working on, or we just want to adopt the idea in this figure in our new research, and then we need to reproduce it and then make some adjustment or make some changes to it. So we are going to make use of our Inkscape. So first thing first, as you already know, the steps involve, we are going to determine the figure target size. Then the second step is to design and arrange the figure component. And then the final step is to export the figure. So let's first of all determine the figure's target size. So to do that, you need to make reference to the journal manuscript. So here we are going to make use of the MDPI Journal manuscript template. So head over there and then download the Word template provided. If you are working with the latex template, you can download the latex template here. So whatever journal you are working with, just get the template and then prepare your manuscript and your figures that suit or fit in to that journal. So here's the Word document for the template for this very journal we are working on. So here I'll assume that I'm going to put the figure here. So what I need to do is to determine the size of this area. So to do that, the easiest way to do it is to copy this figure. So I will just copy it like this, Ctrl C, then paste it right here. So this is where I intend to have the figure. And as you can see, the figure is a little bit larger than the area. So I need to squeeze it to have to a suitable size. So this size is suitable, at least for this journal manuscript. Let me coordinate the two. So I think I'm satisfied with this size. So the next thing now is to copy this size from the template, from the Word template into Inkscape. This is the only way you find the exact size that will fit into this template, this area of your manuscript perfectly. So copy from the Word and then open up your template, your Inkscape. So I usually just select this landscape and then I'm going to paste in the image I just copied. So I'll Ctrl V to paste. So this is the image I copied from the template in Microsoft Word. So this is the size. So as you can see, the size is 140 in width and then 75 mm for the height. So let me show you something. If I copy it directly from here, from the PDF file, and then I paste it in Inkscape, look at the size. So you can see the size is ridiculously too large, and it's even more than A4. The size also A4. So that's why I did not copy directly from the PDF document. So I hope you got the idea, the reason why I have to paste it in the template before copying it. So I copied it here, resize it before copying it to Inkscape. Make sure you do this, or else you'll be working on a different or on a wrong image target size. So this step is very important. If you miss it, at the end, you are going to have issues with compressing the size to fit into the section of your manuscript you are working on. So that is done. So here we need to move to step 2. This is the step we are going to spend much of our time. So 95% of the work is spent in the designing and arranging the figure component. So here we are going to proceed with the second step, which is to design this figure component. So the components here, the major components here are rectangles. So the rectangles are in different colors, and also they have rounded corners. And then we also have text. Then we'll have these little triangles. Then we'll have this circle, a circle with dotted stroke, and a circle with fill color. So I think these are the major components. So one thing I like to do when I'm arranging and designing my figure component is to arrange them in layers. This is not compulsory, but it makes your work, your life easier, especially when you have to switch between your working layer and the reference layer. So here I will go to the object menu and then enable the layer and object panel. So here we have the layer and object panel. And as you can see, automatically I have layer 1, which was created when I added this, when I pasted this figure. So what I need to do here now is simply to rename the layer so that it will make sense for me later on. Or if I need to transfer this file to someone else, at least it will make sense to him when he reads the layer name. So instead of just layer 1, I will rename it to original image. Original image. Yes, so as you can see, the content of the original image is a group, empty groups, then followed by the image. So which I think I will just move the image out and then delete this group. It's not compulsory, but at least it keeps your work organized. So here now I can now see that inside the original image I have the use one, which is the name of this image created by Inkscape. So Inkscape give it this name. You can actually rename it if you want to, but I don't think it's necessary. So let's leave it the way it is, or let me just rename it to figure 1. It doesn't actually matter for our design, but at least you got the idea. So next I need to create another layer that will hold all the components I'm going to be adding to this image or be designing on this image. So I'll click on this button to create a new layer. So this time around I'll call the layer working layer. Working layer. So this layer is going to hold all the rectangles, the text, the triangle, the circles, and whatever component I'm going to have here. So that is that. So I'll make sure that I'm under this layer before I start my design. So this layer is just for me to have a reference or be able to hide it when I need to. That is the image layer, original image layer. So select the working layer and then create the first rectangle. So let's start with this top part. So we're going to start with this top rectangle here. So pick the rectangle tool, then click and then make a rectangle around the area you want to cover. So if you look at the rectangle has pointed corners, but we need it to be rounded corners. So just hold this handle, this circle handle that changes to blue when you point your mouse on it, and then press down the control button. Then round it until you are satisfied with the shape. Then release. Then you can pick the selector tool and then drag the handles to resize it to fit the rectangle you want. So if you look at it, the rectangle is supposed to have transparent fill, and then it has a solid stroke. So let's do that. There are a couple of ways you can do it. You can do it from this color palette down here, or you can make use of the layer, the fill and stroke panel. So go to object, then select fill and stroke, and then you have this where you can set the fill, set the stroke color, and then set the stroke width. So here the stroke paint color, let's set it to black. It's on black, and then the width is on 0.3. Then the fill color, let's remove the fill color by clicking on this button. So the stroke color, the fill, the stroke, and everything is there. So the layer panel is here. You can always switch to it and then hide the image to see what we have done. So if you are satisfied with what you have, then you can proceed. But I think the width is too, the width of the rectangle is too big. So I'll select it and then go back, reduce it to like 0.2, which I think this is better, or maybe 0.25. 0.25, I think it's okay. So if you look at the original image, that very rectangle is actually in purple color. So let's quickly change the color of it to purple. So select it, go back to fill and stroke, or you can change it from down here. Right click on the color and then select stroke, and then it changes it to stroke to a purple color, just like that. So we cannot duplicate it and then use it for this second rectangle, which is going to be in black or gray color. So right click and then duplicate, or you can simply press Ctrl D, duplicate it and then resize it by dragging the handle, just like that. Then this side too. If there is need for you to resize the corner, you go back and select your node tool, then hold down the control button and then resize it as you want. Then go back and pick the selector tool. Then we need to change the color to gray. So I'll go back here, go to the color palette and then select, right click on gray or black, and then change the color to black. So that is how it is done. And then we are going to repeat the same process for all of this. So remember, we are not going to do everything here because our aim here is to adjust or to adapt this figure. We are not copying the figure exactly the way it is in our own research. So duplicate, Ctrl D to duplicate the rectangle. Then move it. Let's start with the inner one. Resize it to fit. Then you can duplicate again. And then let's make use of this one. So you continue the process. If there's need for you to adjust the edges, you go back and pick your node tool, then hold down Control, and then you resize it accordingly to fit. So the procedure will continue like this for these triangles, these rectangles here, and also these ones on the right hand side. So I'm going to speed up the video while I do it because the steps are basically the same for the two. So let's assume that this is what we are going to use for our new research. So we only have 4 rectangles here and then 3 on this other side. So that is enough. Those steps or those assumptions are enough for our own new research. So then the next thing is to create this circle at the center. So to make the circle, you need to make use of the ellipse or arc tool. So click on it, hold down the shift and the control button to have a perfect circle. So draw it like that, then move it onto the center. So hold down shift and control to adjust the size. So just like that. So if you look at what we have here, the original drawing has the circle as a dotted stroke. So we are going to change the solid stroke to dotted stroke. You can do that from the fill and stroke menu. Under the stroke tab, under dashes, select this very dash. And then as you can see, the space in between is too small. So you can adjust the space by making use of this pattern. So the way the pattern works is that the first figure is for the line, then the second value is for the space in between the lines. So if you leave it empty, then it makes use of the same value for both the lines and then the spacing. So if you want the spacing to be more, you can increase the value. Here I'm setting it to 9, and as you can see, it has increased the value of the space. So if you want the lines to be longer, maybe the lines will be 9 and then the space will be 4, just like that. So what I think making it 5 is okay for me. Then the next thing I need to do is to create these inner smaller circles that I fill with gray color. So I'll go back to the fill and stroke. I'll go back to the circle, the ellipse tool, pick it, hold down the shift and control button, and then draw a circle that will cover these smaller circles. So as you can see, the circle is using the property of the last drawn object. So you can quickly change the property. So the dash is going to be solid, and then the fill is going to be solid color, but it's going to be solid black color. So you can change the color like this. Then after which you can now duplicate it. Control D or right click and then duplicate. Then move the duplicate to this other circle here. Control D to duplicate and then move it to this other circle here. So you can see how easy our shape or our figure is coming up. So now we are done with the major components, for rectangles and then the circles. We need to add text. Even for the rectangles, we need to change the colors. Let's check the original. So the outer one here is blue. So we need to change the color easily, just like that. You can look for blue color, right click and then set stroke, color to blue. Let's say this one is going to be red. Right click on red color, then set the stroke color. Then let's leave this one on black. This one, let's say this one is going to be cyan. Right click and then set it. Then this one too, let's assume that this is going to be red in our own research. Then this is going to be, let's say, green. So that is how you change the colors. Now what is left is the text. So let me on the image, background image. So we need to add this text as seen here. So I'm going to pick the text tool, then click here. Then I'll go back to the paper and then copy the text, just like that, and paste it. So the text is coming up with a green color, which I don't want. So the stroke is going to be no color instead of that green. Then the color of the text is black, which is okay. Then the font size, you can actually select it and then change the font style. Sorry, change the font type, but I'm okay with that. You can also change the size of the text if this size is not okay for you, but I think I'm okay with this. You can also, instead of using normal text, you can make it bold, italic, and so on. But I think I'm okay with this. So I'll move it to where it's supposed to be. Then I will duplicate it, and then I will edit it for this text that is here. So I'll go back to the original report, original paper, and then copy this text. So I'm going to take it to my text editor and then clean it up. So I'm going to remove these unwanted characters, copy it again, go back, then edit this text. So here we have the second text here. Adjust it to position it where you want. So if you look at, we have this little rectangle. So we need to also draw these little rectangles. So I'm going to use my pen tool. So click on the pen tool and make sure the mode is set to straight line. Then click. You can hold down Control to have a perfect vertical line. Click once again, and then click on the same point to close back. So this is our rectangle, and then from here you can adjust it and then duplicate and move to the corresponding text position. So duplicate by Control D and then move. Hold down the Control button and then move it down vertically. So let me hide the original image, and then we'll see what we have done so far. So as you can see, this is what we have designed so far. So I'm going to do the same thing for the text on this other side of the rectangle and even the center of the circle. So I'm going to speed up the video at this point. So that is that about the text. So you can adjust the text as you want. You can even change the font color and what have you. So depending on your research, I think this, let me make it 2 lines. Increase the size and then make it 2 lines. So double click, break it from here, and move it inside the rectangle, and then increase the font size. So you can see the flexibility of what we are doing. So let me on back my original image. So one last thing we need to do, if you look at what we have here, we need to have like a solid background rectangle, and that is what I'm going to draw now. So I think with that should do it. So make sure that you are inside your working layer, then pick the rectangle tool, and then you can draw from this edge to this edge. You can make use of this magnet. That's the snapping button. So you can see you snap, then you drag and then snap to the other edge. You can off it back when you're done. So if you look at what we have here, it is covering all the objects, so you can move it to the bottom. So the color is supposed to be white, so I will select the fill color to be white. Then the stroke, I can set it to black, and then the stroke too, the edges are supposed to be sharp edges, not rounded edges. So I'll click on my node tool, then hold down the control button and then return this back to the original point to make the edges sharp edges. So I think with this now we are done. So remember that we are just adopting this figure, so we are not exactly reproducing what is here in this research paper. And that is the essence of this video, to show you how you can make use of Inkscape to reproduce some of these research figures, scientific research figures for your publication. So the next step we need to do now is to finalize and then export the figure. So at this point, you can export the figure. To export the figure, you need to enable the export dialog box. So from the file menu, go to export, and then the export window will appear just like that. So make sure you select the background image. That's the background rectangle. Then come to the selection tab. Then under the selection tab, you only need to set this dot per inch option. So this DPI, for this journal, we are working on the recommended DPI is as follow. I think if you go to this section on preparing figures, you see that the recommended DPI is no less than 600 DPI, and it can be in PNG, JPEG, or TIFF format. So with Inkscape, you can easily set that. So change this to 600, and then browse to the location where you want to save your image. So here I'm going to go to the desktop, and then inside my Inkscape research figure, under images, I will select my figure. I've already saved it earlier on, but I'm going to resave it now. So yes, replace. So I'm saving it as a PNG file. If you want to save it as an SVG file or PDF file, you can select the options. So we just need to copy our updated image and then paste it right here. So I'll go to the working folder, which is here. So I'll copy it, Ctrl C, then come back here and then just paste. So as you can see, this is our adapted figure. And then of course, you need to make the citation properly. Like usually what you are going to have here will be something like maybe like in bracket source, then maybe adapted from, then you need to quote the name of the author. Let me go back to the original research paper and then get the citation properly. So the name of the author and then the year, which is 2025. So copy it and then just paste it there. Let me uncover 2025. So this is how it is done. And if there is anything you need to do, maybe let's say you needed to make some changes, some modification to it, you can always go back and do it. And that's the beauty of the vector graphics software. Let's assume that these dots are going to be in different colors. So let's say this one is going to be in red color. So if you set the fill to red, We can also set the stroke to red. Then let's say this is going to be in green color. Set both the stroke and the fill to green color. Maybe this one should be in blue color. So both the stroke and the fill, set them to blue color. And then you can now resave it. So click on the background rectangle and then resave it. So under export selection, you don't need to do anything here. You just click on the browse button to locate the folder where you want to save it and then replace. So you can go back to your working folder, copy it, Ctrl C, and then go back to your manuscript and paste it. So I'll go back to my manuscript and then paste. So you can see we now have different colors for those circles. So I can delete this, and then I can also delete the original figure. So this is basically how to go about adapting a figure for your research paper. So I hope this lesson was useful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye. Have a nice day.